The fire is warm tonight, though crackling a comforting sound and radiating a similar light. The cold is only held at bay by the door to the underground establishment. Every time the door opens, bartender and patron alike look up to see who enters, and should the door remain open too long, long glares and shouts to shut it are frequent. It may be a little dark, a little cold, and perhaps a little hard to get to, but the mead is good, and that's why people come back. That, and the job board. The board, studded with darts, cheap daggers, and the odd crossbow bolt, is thick with the debris of paper missions.
History!
The patrons call it, and defend its clearing by the hall staff who...
Just want to tidy up for Thor's sake?
The board is quite covered though, a real rat's nest. Parchment, paper, and holographic requests for aid. Requests from countries under the ocean, to the void high above the sky, to the realms and places of legend and dream. Memories. The past. From the darkest corner of the hall, a strange warmth can be felt. It has been this way for as long as anyone can remember. Secret meetings of rangers, spies, and the errant highborn noble gravitate to this spot. And, despite this anomaly, no one has once questioned its presence. It has just always been there. But tonight, that dark spot has gotten warmer and warmer. At first, a scholarly mage commented on the heat being too much, and to his surprise found it cooler by the fire. Inspecting the walls, a dwarf determined that there was no magma risk, or that the heat was even coming from the wall. Instead, a small point in the air, about 3.3 units cubed, and about 4 feet off the ground.
Strange,
muttered a wizard after casting a spell for the detection of magic, finding nothing unusual.
It's just a hot spot?
He muttered. This caught the attention of the resident arsonist.
Pyromancer! I'm a pyromancer, you uncultured swine!
Though not entirely drunk on the most recent batch of pear holiday mead, the pyro professional could not find the source of the heat. Finally, from the coldest corner of the room, by the front door, a man who had not moved from his spot all night stood up. Hooded, clad only in black, he gestures to the group and reaches for an object around his neck. I don't usually go around advertising this, but I am what you would call an artist of the macabre. The pendant he withdraws has a texture and glow of enchanted bone. Shocked, the mage and wizard accuse the black figure of necromancy.
How could you?
Challenges the wizard, almost on the edge of arson himself. Relax, old man. I only experiment on consenting corpses. The hooded figure winks at the wizard, who then demands,
Oh, really? And tell me, how does a corpse consent?
The necromancer chuckles. It's quite simple, really. You make them an offer and just listen. As he says this, waving his pendant about. Shame, though. There isn't a soul here to listen to mine.
What do you mean?
Asks the dwarf, bending up to look at the empty air of the hot spot. Well, my little friend, replies the necromancer. Are you at all familiar with hauntings?
Bloody ghosts?
The little bearded one replies, a little tentatively. Yes, ghosts, as the commoner calls them. They sometimes like to hide themselves between the planes, and the result can be a cold spot where their death bleeds through. A pause. Like a cold spot in space. The mage and the bartender, overhearing this line of conversation, begin retreating to behind the bar.
Oh no,
Spoke the barkeep.
I won't be having any more time for ghosts, slimes, or off-realmers this night.
Fear not, barkeep. There are no ghosts here. Not a soul. At least, not yet. The hooded figure stashes his pendant close and returns to the bar. Another, please. The barkeep, wary, looks to the mage and the wizard before returning to look at the seemingly nefarious figure in black. They nod, and the barkeep withdraws another bottle, serving all 4 of the investigators. Days pass, patrons come and go, but the barman stays, working day after day. The barman remembers. Despite the cold of the day, after first frost, the heat was unbearable at the mead hall. Phew! Ice in my glass, if you please, requested a tiefling bard who played live music with an enchanted lute, having picked a performing area only a few feet away from the hot spot. In the middle of a song they titled Don't Stop Believing, an enormous bang and accompanying flash echoes through the hall. Glasses shatter, the lute strings vibrate and snap. A shout of various curses and blessings fill the hall, while the patrons in their own way shield themselves from the light. But as soon as the light came, it went. A sizzling sound emanates from the dark corner. The barkeep reaches under his post for a hidden heavy crossbow he keeps there, the memory of the hot spot bright in his mind. Stepping out of the dark, a hulking metal figure steps into the firelight. Seemingly made out of cast bronze and fitted with hoses and rotating gears, the figure puts up both hands in a sign of good intent. A voice resonates through the metal helmet. The barkeep isn't having it tonight. The bar fights, the brawls, the creeps, and the stalkers are one thing, but unsanctioned teleportations were
Quite out of line!
He shouts, raising the massive crossbow to level.
I'm so sorry.
The metallic voice continues to transmit, and slowly moving cautiously toward the bait of their helm. Gloved hand removes armored head. Beneath, the head of a graying-haired woman. Do you recognize her? Though silvering now, her hair was once very dark throughout, features sharp and some would say Eastern-like.
Did I come at the right time?
The woman asks, helmet in hand and voice ringing shrill compared to the mechanizations of the mask.
Do the Warriors of Weird still exist? Do they still fight for good and gold?
Shaking and a little upset at the discovery of broken lute strings, the bard stands on stage and responds, Yes, of course they do! Who the hells are you? Angry looks stare at the metal woman accusingly. Tentatively, she responds, quite perhaps, but firm, as the room was hers.
I am Nicolette Alset. I need your help. Help with breaking china?
Asked the barkeep, stowing the heavy bow back to its secluded home.
I think not. You owe me quite the coin, woman.
A cold glare emanates from Nicolette like a radiant attack, and before anyone could muster more choice words, she marches over to the job board and stabs a poster into its papered face with think? A black needle.
I am Nicolette Allset.
Her voice shaking now, her hands not knowing what to do except shake, and, finally deciding what to do, pointing toward the board with a massive bronze glove, continued.
I am from the future, and I need your help to save my lover, Ariana Lastmast.
This quest will be a multi-part campaign of indeterminate length. No player cap, no level requirements. Desperation is high. Online sessions will begin first Wednesday night of 2023. The quest will take place in areas around the island of Need, somewhere off the Sword Coast. The rewards promise to be very high, but so are the risks. More is afoot here, and time travel is impossible, isn't it?